guys, and welcome to this particular video. In this particular video, we're basically starting to build a design system for a particular project that is called Easy to Code, that is meant to be an open source project both for designers and developers, right? So each time I make the video, I'll be uploading on this particular YouTube channel. And if it is the first time of you joining us in this particular YouTube channel, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share the video and drop a comment in the comment section saying design system, so that YouTube is basically going to spread this video more and show it to more people looking at basically starting to build a design system, right? So the kind of design system that I'll be going through is I'll be following a particular framework called the Atomic Design System Framework. So if you want to read more about the Atomic Design System Framework, just go on Google and search for Atomic Design. I bet you're going to see like a very good you're going to be a very good article on it to read. I think this article is on XD, and it's talking about Atomic Design's principle framework. So Atomic Design principle, as you can see, is a methodology created by Brad Frost, seeking to provide direction on building interface design system more deliberately and with explicit order and hierarchy. So it has like 5 basic hierarchy, which is atoms, molecules, and organisms, then templates and pages, right? So if you go through this particular article and read through it, you should be able to come up with amazing atoms, right? So I'll just go ahead and I will design following this Atomic Design principle and see what I could actually come up with. Now the first thing I'm going to do is to start to design my atoms. As you guys can see here, we are told that button elements, input or form elements, icons, avatars are basically some part of atoms, right, that we could add to our atom. When we start designing card, that will be our molecules. Then we'll go as far as design some other complex things like our headers, our navigation system. We could add that as our organisms. Now that being said, I will just go ahead and start my design, and the first thing I want to treat is my color. Now I'll be making use of a lot of plugins and to come up with a design system to also make it faster. So I'll just be mentioning the plugin, then you can go ahead and install that particular plugin. Now the first plugin I'll be making use of is the plugin called the Foundation Color Generator. So let me click on that particular plugin. So this particular plugin name is called Foundation Color Generator. If you don't have it installed inside of your Figma, you can go ahead and install it. So this plugin will allow us to like follow some of the well-known design systems that we can actually use that and come up with our design system. And one of the most popular one here is the material design system. So I want to click that. So I want it to follow that convention of my material design system, and the color that I want to give first is our primary color. So I'm going to call this the primary color over here. So I'm going to say primary color, and one of the color I'm going to use here is going to be the primary color. So I'll look for the hex color code. Now for me, I already have like a perfect hex color code I want to use for this particular design system, and this is the hex color code is 3489D7. Alright, so let's see. So this is the particular color code. Of course, you can see it here. It's already showing me here. So it will just automatically generate for me 10 particular color palettes. So what I'm going to do in this area is I'm just going to come over here and I will say create styles. So the moment I click on create styles, it will go ahead and basically create my primary color for me, and I could go ahead and say create palette as well. So when I click on palette, it will just go ahead and create my primary palette over here as my color, which if you ask me, I think it's super great. I don't need to do anything, and I have my primary color created and generated for me just at ease. So I'll do the same thing too. I'll also go ahead and create the secondary color. So I'll call this secondary color, and I'll attach my secondary color to this particular area. So my secondary color I have here is E8627A. Right, so this is the secondary color, right? So since I have this as my secondary color, I'll just go ahead and click on create color styles. Of course, once I click on create color styles, the next thing I want to do, I want to say create palette, right? So when I click on create palette, you could see it over here. It has automatically created a particular palette, but it's overlapping. Let me see if I should be able to drag it. All right, Let me just shift the both of them so that next one will not overlap. So I've created my secondary color. Now once I have my secondary color, the next kind of color I also want to have will be my grays, right? So let me just call it gray. So I'm going to say GREY, so which is really good. So this will be my gray color. Then I want to look for like the major color that I'm going to call my gray color. So it depends on what you want to use. Some people use like 5757, which is also an amazing color. You could see it there. It could go as far as giving you like a very light version. If you think you want something really light, you can also increase it as well. But no matter the way you increase it, the good thing about this thing is that no matter the way you reduce it or increase it, it will not give you like a full-fledged gray like that. But of course I love to work with 5757 gray color. So this will be like my base color for my gray. So of course I can always use these to create an amazing color for my text and so on and so forth. So I'm just going ahead and say create styles. So once I click on create styles, it will automatically create a particular styles for me. And the next thing I want to do, of course, you could see the style is created. I want to create my palette. I'll create palette. So that's it. So the palette is created here, then I'll drop it here. So now the next kind of color I want to create is I want to create a color that has to do with I call it the contextual colors, which would be like my document colors like sources and the rest. So I'll start with sources. I love to start with sources a lot. So I'll go with sources, and so this is how you spell sources. So I don't have a particular sources color. So I will just come over here using this particular color picker, and I'll select any green of my choice, basically. So I'll just let any green, anything I feel like it's good. I think this is perfect, so I'll just leave it. I don't really have any sources color, so I'll just use my color picker and pick anything that has like a good green. I think this is a good green, looks like a good green. Let me just reduce it a little bit, add some tones to it, and I have something like looks like a green that will work perfectly for me. Let me see, something like this should also work. Alright, I'm just using my eye here. So I have this particular amazing green color here, so I'll go ahead and create these styles. I'll call it sources. Then I could also create a palette as well. So the moment I create a palette, I also have like my sources color. So let me bring it down here. So I have my sources color. So the next color I want to have is my error color. So I'm going to call it error. I'll do the same thing too. I'll ensure that I try to go as far as the red area, and I'll come somewhere around here to see that it's going to give me like a pretty red color over here. So which is cool, not too shouty. Something like this is perfect for me, and I'll go ahead and do the same thing too. I'll say create styles. It will go ahead and create that particular color for me, and I'll go ahead and create palette of it as well. So it will generate that particular color, and I'll use this for my errors. I'll drop it down here. So now another color styles I could also use, you could see gray, I have success, I have red. And another color I could also use is I could also make use of is my warning color. So I'll go ahead and say warning. So warning always look like something like gold or yellow. So I'll use my color picker and trying to go to like something like this. Yep, something like that is cool. I'll just look for something a little bit thicker. No, that's too thick for my liking. Alright, let's see if we could adjust this a bit. No, this is alright, something goldish. Alright, this looks cool. Then I could do this. Alright, this looks like really cool for me, and I'll go with these particular colors. Then I'll just go ahead and say create styles. Then it will create my warning. I'll say create palette as well. It will create that particular palette for me. I will just arrange it over there. So then the next color I also want to use apart from warning will be, of course, info, right? So we have this particular color called info, and it's usually blue. Then I'll just use my color wheel, of course, go and look for a bluish color, and something like this is really good to go. I think it's cool as well. I would pick that, and hopefully this go for an amazing blue color, of course. Then okay, this is cool. Then I'll go ahead and I'll say create styles. So once my style is created, I'll say palette, right? So it will go ahead and create a particular palette for me, and this will be my info color. So right now I have like my document colors, and I also have my gray, I have this, and everything is working fine for me. I have like 7 colors. So I'm done creating these particular colors. I've done creating all of my foundation colors, right? You could see, I could go ahead and rename this. Instead of me calling it foundation, I'll call it colors, right? So I'll just say colors. Now once I have my colors here, the next thing I want to do is to basically create a frame, and I'll go ahead and create a simple frame. I'll create a frame here, and I could actually want to group them inside a particular frame. And let's see if I will give this my frame like a background, F5, 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 or better still, I could even go ahead and say, okay, look, let's select part of our gray here and give this stuff like one of the lightest gray, and something like this. So I could actually give my frame this particular color, which I think is cool, and I'll go ahead and create another frame here, or a rectangle. Let me just create a frame instead, and I'll put the frame at the heading here, and I'll see a few. I could give this color any, let's not give it the primary color, let's give it some of the blue color. I'll look for like 500 part of it, I'll drop it there. Alright, so I have this down here, and it's pretty cool. So the next thing I want to do is look for a heading, a text there, and I'll just give it like a very big text. I'll say color, I'll say colors here, and I'll look for Sura. Okay, it's a nice text, to just make it something very big, and I'll drop it here. Let me see if that's the exact text. This is the text I want to use, called Sura. So that's the text there. Then I'll make it bold. Yeah, just make it bold. Just make it pretty big. And let me reduce this size to like 96. Okay, that's cool. So I could have my colors here. Let me just call this colors. And so there you go. I can come over here and have this amazing stuff. Just position it there. And okay, just do like 20 and 20, of course. So it will just align it pretty well for me. Oops, let me give this 20. I'm coming. Let me give this 20 as well. Alright, let's see. So this should be like my texts. So the spacing between them should be 20. I want the spacing between them to be 20. Okay, 40. Alright, so we have this, and everything looks great if you ask me. So let me try and create a frame out of this. I won't undo the frame yet. Still, let me just try and see what I can do. Alright, let me rename this to colors. Alright, this looks cool. I want to select all of this now. Add some form of auto layout to the whole thing, and Ctrl Z. Let me not add auto layout yet. And okay, I have something that is working fine for me. Space between them. Let me see. Nah, it's not giving me what I want. Space between them, and okay, this is cool. Which is cool. Let me just draw this and add auto layout to this, and I'll give this an auto layout, and I'll give this 20. I want the spacings between them to be 20. Alright, then let me see the auto layout. The auto layout frame is called frame 3, right? So let me just call this one main colors, and these other colors here, I'll drag it, I'll put it here, and I'll select this whole frame here now, and I'll call this particular one, I'll give it some auto layouts, and I'll call it 20 as well, and I'll call this particular color my documents colors, right? All right, so everything looks great, and I'll try to give this stuff like a 20 space there. I don't want to join them together. All right, I have something really good here. Then I could have this as well. Then I have my heading. Let me just call this heading. All right, so everything here seems cool. I have like my color all set up, and it's good to go. Yeah, everything is good to go. Everything seems nice and it's good to go. So the next thing I want to do right now is to come up with the next thing will be my typography, right? So let's see how we can actually come up with our typography. Now, of course, I told you guys I'll be using more of plugins all the way through. So the next plugin I'm going to be using is going to be called the Stylist Text and Color Styles, right? So we call it Stylist plugin. So you want to check out this plugin out, install it if you don't have it. So that's the plugin, Stylist plugin. So you can also use it to create your colors too as well, not just the foundation colors, of course. As you can see, if you come over here, you can use it to create your palette and so on and so forth. I think it's an amazing plugin too as well. If you type like your base color over here, see, if you type your base color over here, it should come up with something, and let's say like 575757. So okay, this stuff is giving me red. 5757 red. I thought it's grey. So you see your color over here, it will come up with something for you and so on. But I don't like using it for the color. I love using it for the styles. So for the styles, the first thing you want to do is to understand which of your style you want to use. So if you're comfortable with major third, so major third, as you can see here, it's showing you 10px, the least one, and it's increasing based on 4 points. But I don't really like major third. I love to use like major second. So let's see what major second will give for us. So major second will give us like our 14 base. So I don't want my base to be 16. So but let's see what 16 base will give us. So we have like 16, we have 14, we have 16, and we have 13. So you can even go ahead and add one more. If you want to add one more, you add that, right? So then we'll call that major second, and you could also have minor second as well. Minor second now will give you stuff, but I don't like to use minor second. I have to major second, and I'll give my base as 14. So if I have my base as 14 now, I could have other font size, right? So with my base as 14, in other words, if my base is 14, that means my 14 is going to be like my paragraph, right? So this is going to be like my paragraph text, and yeah, so I'm going to have like my paragraph text here. So in most cases, you see most people naming this stuff called body, so I'm going to give it like body. So this is going to be like my body, and if this is my body, I'm going to say / and I'm going to type paragraph 1, right? So I'm going to say paragraph 1, something like that. I could just choose to use underscore for the spacing there, paragraph 1. Then I can go ahead and come over here too and say body as well, body / paragraph _2. Okay, let's do that. Let's make this capital letter P as well. So once I have that, so the next thing you want to see like your small, right? So always have all of this small text that we can use here. But our 12px now, it depends on how you want to actually give it. So we have like for me now, we should be having like that's about 3 small, right? We have this particular small text here. I don't want to create this particular one, so I want to create this one. So the first small text, so I have my small and I have my text. Let me just call it, let's call it text _1. So these are small text, and these are the smaller text. Of course, I'll call it text _2. So this is like bigger, this is smaller. Then if you want to operate with like very, very small text like 8px, you can also add it as well. So I don't want to add 11px, so I just want it that, okay, my small text is 10px and my smaller text is what, 10px and 12px, and I have my paragraph. So the next thing now is for me to start counting my heading all the way up. So I'm going to type heading here. I'm I'm going to say /H6. So let's use capital H6. So I'm just going to copy this, and I'll come over here and type the same thing too, but this is going to be H5. I'll paste it here too. I'm going to say H4. Then I will add one more. So this is giving me like an odd sign. So anytime it gives me odd sign, I don't want to use it. I always want to use even numbers. So I'll uncheck this. So I'll say H3. So I have my H4 now, and I have my H3. So I'll increase my size again, and I have like my H2, and I'll increase my size again. And okay, this is my H3 is like 32px. I don't want to give it 32px. My H1 to be 30. I want something a little bit bigger, so 40 to be my H1, right? So I'll say H1. So I have my H1 to be 40. I have my H2 to be 32. I have my H3 to be 28, and I have my H4 to be 22, and I have my H5 to be 20, and I have my H6 to be 18. Now all good, right? So the next thing I want to do now is to check the font. Of course, remember the font I want to use is called Sora, so that's the font to be using. So I'm just going to put Sora down there. So once I have Sora down there, so the next thing I want to do is to go ahead and look at some of these things here. So I would, of course, regular is really cool to me, so I want regular, of course, and I also want bold. So I want regular, I want bold, and I want semi-bold. So just in case, so I might actually need these three. I might need regular, I might need semi-bold, I might need bold. So I know that I'll need these three things. So I'll go ahead and do the same thing. So I'll check this. I'll check regular, I'll check bold, I'll check semi-bold. So just go ahead and keep checking it all through. So semi-bold, bold. Go ahead. Bold, semi-bold. I'll go ahead. Bold, semi-bold, bold, semi-bold, bold, semi-bold. Okay, I missed one. Bold, semi-bold. Check it all through. Bold, semi-bold, bold, semi-bold. All right. So I have all of this stuff checked. So it's 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, all checked. Now you can go ahead and also add line height if you also want to add line height, but I'll just basically leave it at auto, so I don't need to add that particular one. So I have about 30 styles that this stuff is going to create for me. So guess what I'm going to do? I'll just, on a click of a button, create styles. So the moment I click on create styles, it just go ahead and create me an amazing styles with some of the font there. And this is it. So I'll just select everything here. Come, let me shift this. With some demo text, I'll select everything here and I'll delete it, right? So, and if you come over here, you could see that all my styles, all my text styles have been created. Here I have colors. I also have like my text styles have been created, both heading, body, and small, all grouped together. So my heading, I have my H1, blah blah blah, all through, and I also have my paragraph with my body text, and I also have like my small text as well. So the next thing I want to do now is to find a way to be able to like to present it like this. So I also have another plugin that will help me do that at ease. So that plugin name is called the Typography Style Guide. So this is the plugin here. So I'm going to go ahead and you want to go ahead and install this particular third plugin. If you don't have it installed, the plugin name is called the Typography Style Guide. So you want to install it. So all you just need to do with this particular plugin after you have installed it is just to run it. So I'm going to run it. So the moment I run it, Typography Style Guide is going to create two amazing stuff. It's going to create a new page for me, as of course you can see it there, and it's going to have this particular stuff here, and it's going to have it here as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to select everything over here, Control X to cut it. I'll go back to my atoms and I'll paste it here, right? So the moment I paste it here, and let me just paste it here, and I'll shift it to the side a bit. So I have this particular style created for me, and I think it's really amazing. It will be easy for me to work with it, and I have my typography and my heading there. So but since I'm using something like this, so what I want to do again, I can actually just select all of this. Watch what I want to do and bring it outside here, and basically create something that's amazing. I'll come over here. So since I have this now, this could be like my major heading 1. So let's say if I give this heading 1, it's going to like make it smaller, but let me not give it that way. So I'll just come over here and say colors, and come over here and I'll type, I can type main and documents colors, right? So let's just reduce this to like 36 thereabout, just make it small, and of course make it regular and put it down here. All right, so once we have it here, we can even go ahead and add like auto layout to them, and of course it's 0 and so on and so forth. We could go ahead to select our heading also and add some sense of auto layout to this particular thing as well. Then so we'll just have something like that is really cool. Then if we take a look at this stuff, you can align it to this particular edge here, and you can also specify the spacings it gets from up to down, right, which is like our top spacings. So let us make it 50, so it's going to be a little bit equal. Then make this like 150, right? So 150 will affect this other side. So once we have that, and we have like an amazing color here and our heading. So let us drop this here, and we could now make this like a component of its own, right? So this is like our character style heading, right? So we can go ahead and name it, right? So let's rename this, and let's rename this. So let's say let's call it system underscore heading, right? So let's call it that way, and we'll drop it there just in the same way that this also creates like a default component for the style guide. So we'll just drop it there. Then I can duplicate it and get an instance of it here and just drop it inside here, and I can go ahead and stretch this, right? So this would be good for me to stretch. So instead of us to call these colors, so we could just basically call these labels. Don't worry, just call it label, right? And of course it's going to affect it. So call this one let's call this one sample text description. All right, let us do something like that. All right, that's cool. Then if we can come over here now, we can come over here and further call it colors, and of course let's call it document colors. All right, so this looks really cool now. All right, so we have that. So I'm going to duplicate this now. So once I duplicate it, I'll bring it here, and guess what, I could just call this one typography, right? Typography, yep. So and I'll call this, I will say family or fonts, it depends, typeface, anything that you want to call it. Let us say font. Let's give it a name. The name of this font is Sora, right? So let's give it a name. It already has the name, so I'm going to call it Sora here, and yeah, so that's it. So I'm going to delete all of this. I'm going to delete all of this. Then I'm going to take this and put it inside here. All right, so let's just do something like this. All right, that's cool. Nothing much. So yeah, lazy brown dog, blah blah blah, and all this stuff. So that's it, guys. So we have done our colors. We've done colors. Oops, let me name this stuff typography. All right. So we have done our colors, we've done typography. So the next thing that we want to do is basically try to see if we could do our spacing, and if we could also do grids as well, right? So I'll go ahead and I'll try to create the spacings, right? So we have like this 4-point grid spacing system that we could create, and we'll also have the 8-point grid system. So you basically choose any kind of grid system that you want to use. So for me, I would love to go with like the 8-point grid system, right? So for me to do that, let me just like duplicate this particular one. I'll say Ctrl D. This will duplicate it for me, and I'll come over here and I'll call this spacing. Then once I have called this spacing, I would name this spacing as well, and I'll say they are all multiples. All right, we could do something like that, and I'll just delete all of this basically, right? So I have something that is really cool. Now there are two types of spacing anybody can come up with: the 4 points or the 8-point grid system. But let's just go ahead and try to come up with this particular space. So the first thing I'm going to do is come over here and I'll just draw a simple line. I love to do something like this, just give it like full red, and let's say okay, since we're giving it blue, let's just give it this, let's give it our primary color and just give it like opacity of say 50, right? So this should work, or let's give this say 70. All right, this should work. So I would come over here and give it the height of 4. Yep. And I'll write a text, and let's call this one 4pt, that's 4 points. And this is on our body regular. Yep. So once I have this, now select this and this. While I select both of them together, I'm going to add auto layout at the middle, and just give it like 20 between them, so something like that, and I'm good to go. So we can just duplicate this now, and I'll change this to 8. That is just like 4 plus 8, 8, or let's do something like, let's call it 04, 08. Okay, that'll be good. So once you have it like this, so I can select the both of them together now, right? I can add another auto layer to them, and it depends, let's give it 22 as well. All right, not bad. Then that of 8, the rectangle of 8, let's change it to 8, of course. The height, we'll give it 8. All right, sounds cool. So let's do the same thing again. We'll duplicate. So I'll just duplicate it a couple of times. Ctrl D. Later I'll change it. So let's come over here. This will be 12. So we'll change the rectangle height to 12 too as well. This should be 16. Right, I'm just adding 4. So we'll change the height of this rectangle to 16 as well. This should be 20. It should be 20. Right, so we change the rectangle height to 22 as well. This should be 24. This should be 24. We can change the rectangle height to 24 as well, and this should be, so we can now like increase more. So once we get to 24, we can basically just increase it, like add like an extra 12 or thereabout, or 8, just make it like 32. So let's add like extra 8 and just increase it by 8 now, call it 32. That's why I do 32. And this now, let's give it the height of 32 as well, right? So let's duplicate this now, like Ctrl D, Ctrl D, Ctrl D. All right, so 32. Let's add another 8 now. So from 24, I'm adding 8 instead of 4. So let's add another 8. So 32 plus 8 should give me 40. So I'll change this to 40. The height, I'll make it 40 as well. Then 40 plus 8 again, I'll give it, that should be 48. So I'll make this 48 as well. 48 as well. Then 48 plus 8, of course, you should know what that is. That should be 56. So I'll just give it 56. Then I can change this to 56 as well. Then I could even reduce the opacity of this two to like 50. Then this one too to also like 50 thereabout. Alright, so something like this is cool. We've just basically done our spacing, just showing them that okay, this particular spacing is 8 grid, and I can select everything. Right, then I could just bring it here and say spacing, and there you go, we have like our spacing done and dusted with in this particular design system. Just reduce this a bit. So the next thing now I want to also look at, I also want to take a look at stuffs like the grids, right? So we could actually work on grids, but before we work on grids, let's work on icon. Let's work on icon first, right? Work on icon. So I will duplicate this. Let's see. So another thing we could work on is icon. So let's try. So I'll duplicate this. I'll come over here and I can call this icons. Now the way you work on icon, let's delete this. The way you work on icon, so I can come here and say icons. Then it depends on the pack that I want to use. Let's say we want to use feather icons. So you can say pack, icon pack. So if you're using more than one icon pack, you can specify it here. So I'll just say feather icons. So there's a plugin called feather icons, or one of the best way to do it is just like look for a file that already have like most of those feather icons. You can just like bring it in here, but let me just do it one after the other. So I'll just show you how you can basically just like work on icons. So if I right click and I click on plugins, and let me search, I should have feather icons installed, install plugins. Okay, alright, this is it basically. So this is like a lot of icon packs. So because you want to use inside of your design, so you want to be able to like bring them out one after the other. So I have like a couple of feather icons here, and I would do something now. I will go ahead and so the first thing you want to do is ensure, like what I normally do, I used to ensure that it's 24 by 24. Then I just make it a component, right? So once you make it a component, that's just all you need to do. And once you make it a component and bring it inside of the frame, right? So let me explain. So once it's like this, you bring it inside of the frame. So you see it's sitting inside of this particular frame now, right? So the moment it's sitting inside of this particular frame, let me take it up here. So when it's sitting in this particular frame, if we go to asset right now, I will see icons. You'll be able to see the icons, and we can bring it outside. Now watch what will happen when I bring the second one. So when I bring the second one too, I will of course do the same thing. Ensure that I make it a component, then I'll move it inside here. Then if I come back to this particular one now, the moment I click here, let me drag this. The moment I click here now and I want to change the icon path, I come under here, I should be able to see everything. So I can easily just change it from the side of my Figma like this. I think it's really great to have your icon as single components and put them inside there, so that it will be very, very easy for you to just like easily switch between icon in any component that you are working on, right? So that's what you want to do. So you can just go ahead and copy out of this icon pack and put it out there. So I'll just go ahead and fix this icon over and over and over again, and I'll come back to this particular job. Alright guys, so I've basically like done a lot of the feather icons. So now I have like a lot of them right here, as you can see. So if I bring in this now, I can easily just switch between a lot of several icons right here, right? So you guys should just go ahead and just do the same thing a couple of times. So now that we have our icon, let me quickly adjust this a bit, or just leave it like this for now. So that's that. So feather icons, everything is set and it's running. So the next thing that you also might be tempted to work on would be your effects or shadows, right? So you can call it shadow, drop shadow, you can call it effects, right? So instead of Figma here, it's called effects. So let's try and see if we could add some sense of elevation. It will be shadows, right? So you can have like a very small shadow and a minimum base shadow, right? So nonetheless, these things are actually due to change. You can still like change them later on in the future, right? So let's see what we have. So I will come over here right now and I would try to create shadows, right? So let me rename this Let me just call it shadows, because yeah, that's what they will call it. So I'll call it shadows. I'll come here and I'll say shadows, right? Then I'll say I can also type system elevation, right? Right, that's anything anyway, elevation, right? Because you can use shadow to create elevation. So let's just do something like that. So we can go ahead and describe our shadows. And one of the ways you want to create your shadow when you're working on a component is basically just come over here. Let's draw a simple circular stuff right here. And so this is what we're going to do. So once you have this circular stuff right here, the next thing we want to do is reduce it a bit. Okay, I don't know why I just gave it radius right now. I don't know. So let me just give it 5. So I'll give it white. So let's see if I can give this stuff like a full white color. Okay, this is great. So now that I have a white color to that, so the next thing is to apply shadow. So if I want to apply shadow, so I could have like 3 kind of effects, 3 kind of shadow that I might want to apply. Probably like a minimum one and the one that will go around. So I love to apply this kind of shadow, so I'll just show you guys. So I'll apply like 3 shadows. I'll say small, medium, and large, something like that. So I'll say effect. So of course it drops shadow. Then I'll try the effect. So if I want the shadow to go round, so it depends. So let's say for now I want the shadow to go round. So I can also give like both of them like 0 0 all true. Then with a blur. Now the thing about the blur now is the fact that okay, sometimes you might don't want to like use the exact color. You see, we have like local colors, then we have document colors. All right, you might not want to use like full black, because it's not like a good thing to use full black as a shadow. So let me just give you like some sense of gray, and let me give this stuff like 10 and see how it is. So 10 looks like really big for my liking, and the opacity is 20. So I will bring it to opacity of 20. Then let me see how 6 will go. Okay, this 6 looks good. So 6 looks like a more fair shadow. So let's see if I could actually increase the gray a little bit. All right, so I could increase the gray a little bit. So I have this particular color for my shadow now. So let's see. Okay, this looks like perfect right now. So this is like a very soft low shadow. So I can go ahead and write the properties of this particular shadow. Of course, you can see that even if you click here and click inspect, you should be able to see like some of the properties of this particular shadow in the CSS format, right? But let me not talk about that one, so I'll not confuse you guys. So over here you can see the X, the Y, the blur, and the spread. So basically this drop shadow details right here are the properties of this particular shadow, right? So what I want to do now, I want to click here and I basically want to write them down. So I'll say X. So my X is 0. My Y, where's that stuff again? Let me type. My Y is 0. So let me see the shadow. Fortunately, I did not cram the colors. So let me see. Effects. So my Y is 0. My spread is 6. My blur is 6, and my spread is 0. My opacity. So I'll define the blur. So let me add 1 2 3 4 5. All right, let me just do something like that. So I'll say my blur is 6, right? And my spread, so this is called spread or S, depending on how you want to call it, but let's stick to just one layer. Let's stick to 1 liter. So let's just call it B. B is for blur, S is for spread. So our spread is 0, of course. Then our color is so it depends on how you want to do it. So it's not like even compulsory you specify the color, but let me just specify it. So I'll say our color is this. All right, that's the color. Then what else do we have? So we have our opacity, right? So our opacity, another word, transparency, or sometimes you can even call it A. So A stands for like alpha, but in CSS you could see, let me show you guys something. In CSS is basically your shadow, right? You see it here, 0.2, which is 20 px. That's your alpha, right? So you can call it A, but let's just call it opacity. So for the sake of those of us that might not really know opacity or transparency, let me call it transparency instead. Transparency. Alright, so this is 20%, or you could do it like this, /20%. I think this is better, so let's delete this one. Alright, cool. So now that we have something like this, let's see, let me just give it a text style. The body, let's look for body, the paragraph regular 16. Alright, that's cool. So I'll just give it a regular color of gray. That should be about the 500 gray there. Okay, let me give it semi-bold. I think I'll prefer semi-bold. Alright, semi-bold is cool. Alright, so we could have something like this. Let me reduce this a bit and have both of them aligned that way. Alright, this is cool. So this is us having like one of our small shadow. So let's see if we could actually apply another shadow. So I'll do stuff like this. So it depends on how I want to go about it. Oops, what did I do? Ctrl Z. I'm selecting the both of them. So let's apply it like this. So the next one now is the shadow. So I'll basically just increase the blur, right? So the more you increase the blur, the bigger the shadow, right? So we have 16 there. So now we have like 20. So now we can actually go ahead and increase this particular blur to like, let's say like 15 or thereabout. And since we have 6, so let's see times 2 of it, all it will give us. So this will give us like our medium shadow, right? As you can see, this will give me like a medium shadow. So the only thing I change here is just the blur. So I'll just change it to 6, of course. Then I could have another one now like this. Amazing stuff. Then I could actually change this blur now to like 20. This could be like a larger version of the shadow. This should be like 20 now. Aha, so you could see this is a little bit larger. Let's see, let's try 25. Aha, so this is a little bit larger, right? This is cool. Let's make it 25. So this is large, so let's call this one 25. So what I really want to do is just to make it a character style. So I'll click on this particular icon over here and click on this plus icon over here. Then I could just call this one like small. Go say small underscore shadow. I'll click on create style. This one I'll click on it again. No, not there. Here I click on plus style. I call it medium. This spell it well. Coming medium underscore shadow. Click on create style. Then I'll do the same thing too here. I'll click on here too. I'll say large underscore shadow. Now it depends, so you can go ahead and create other like amazing shadows that we could also add, like shadow that has a little bit of glow effect and so on and so forth, right? So you could actually create that particular shadow. You can even go ahead and also create outlines too, showing your outlines. You can go ahead and do that, right? You can also go ahead and also create what's the word? You can also go ahead and create let me reduce this. You can go ahead and create border radius, right? So let's cut that one. So let's call it corner radius. So I'll do this. I'll duplicate this now, and let's try something. So let's look for a word, corner. Let's look for a word, corner radius, right? All right, cool. Let me increase the size of this. All right. So we'll call this corner radius, right? So it depends, or let us call it points. So it depends on what we want to do, the kind of border radius that we want to use. So if we want to use like 20 points thereabout, so you can actually go ahead and basically reduce this and say, okay, this particular radius now, if it is button, this is what I would love to use for it. If it is button, I love to use so and so radius for it. For example, now let's see, if it's a button, I would love to use a radius of because I'm trying I plan on creating a capsule shape button, so I would give it like a very rounded edge, like let's say like 25 or thereabout for all of my buttons. But let me delete this. Let me use frame instead. Let me use frame, and let me write the word inside of my frame there. Let me see, permit me to say 30 px, 30 points. I don't know why I love calling it px. I'm going to say 30 points. Alright, so instead of my frame there, I could have some auto layer to that one, and I could have like a total spacing. I could have like a, let me say like the same spacing around it. So I have like same spacing around it, right? And let's give it a color. Let's give it the color. We can even give it like the primary color there. And this, let's change this to white, and let's give it a radius of, let's say like 30 for now, and just see what happens, right? So this particular 30 could be for our button radius, right? So let me call this let me just say buttons. So I could just specify it here like this, and so that both of them are centralized, and I'll say buttons, right? So I could do that. Go ahead and do the same thing too. Okay, let me not arrange it this way. Let me arrange it by the side, and let me make this text a little bit bigger. Let's look for like our H1 text or something. H1 will be too much. Let's give it H3 regular bold. Alright, perfect. So let us call it button like this. So this is cool. So I'll duplicate this. So we could create another one. So this could be like for cards, alright, and for cards we could give it like a more rounded edge, like 50, and I'll call this 50 for cards, and permit me to increase this value to like 50 thereabout. So this could work for our card elements now. Come in, let me arrange it so that it's going to appear where buttons, cards. So let's say cards. So these are some of the areas I know that we are definitely going to apply like radius to. Then probably sessions too, we might also apply radius. But at any point in time, stuff like this changes, and we can always come back to here and in our design system to basically change some of these settings ourselves. Which I think it's a good idea. It's not a bad idea to do that. When changes like this or anything actually changes, you can always come back here and alter those changes, which is still fine. All right, so that being said, so we have like a couple of stuff. Let me adjust this. So now we have a couple of stuff. We have shadows. Let's take it further. I'm trying to adjust these other ones too to fit in the same spacing just for the eyes. All right. The next thing we could do is also try to see if we could apply other things. So we've done other major things like grids, right? So the next thing you want to do is work on your grid, like okay, what will be my layouts and grid and stuff like that. So let's take a look at how we'll actually work on our layout, right? So working on our layout is very simple. Let's hit on frame, and we'll choose like a desktop version of this stuff, and let's see if we can come up with this particular desktop frame over here. So we could bring it down here, and this could be like our layout. So I can go ahead and say layout. So what layouts do I want to use in this particular project? So it's one thing I definitely would love to ask myself. Then whatsoever is the layout I decide to use, I could actually just come over and add my layout grid. Of course, most people will add this. So let's just add, let me make this stuff like 5, make it really light. Then I'll add another one, and this another one, and the one on top, let's make it one on top. The one on top, let it be column. And I love to do this. I love to use my margin as 85. So and for desktop, I'll say 12. So I love to use like a 12 count. Then the gutter 20 is always great, so it still falls with our grid. So we can say desktop layout. So it depends on how you want to go about it. So you can say desktop underscore layout, stuff like that. So you are using like 12 column count, and let's reduce this. So for tablets, so for tablets we could do something like this. I'm coming, for tablets, for our layout tablets. So for this particular tablet now, let's come back here. Still 12, still 20, no difference, but the count now we change to 6. Then when the count change to 6, of course, if you click here and you go under tablets, so one of the sizes of tablets is, so okay, there is this particular iPad mini tablet that is 744, right? 744. So that's the tablet. So let's give this particular size, that with that size, 744 tablet. So we'll give it like 6. So the next thing that we could have is our mobile, right? And so it depends on the size. So I love to give my mobile size like, let's say like 480 there about. But it depends on the mobile that you are working on. So let's see the mobile that you will use. So let's say we are using phone, and the phone that we're using is iPhone 13 mini. So we want to give it 375, right? So let's just imagine that one. So I'll give it a width of, let's say, 375. So 375 thereabout. Then of course you want to know that I'll definitely work on all of this stuff, right? So the margin now will definitely not be 85 anymore. So the margin will look like something like, let's say like 20, right? So I'll give you like 20 thereabout, and the count now should give me like 4, but I'll still leave my margin at this particular area, right? So that's it. Then this other one too, I forgot to change the margin, so I can reduce the margin to like 50 thereabout, and I will still leave my count to this particular area. So this is like me creating like several breakpoints for this particular layout as well, right? So we've created like a lot of design systems so far, so good, which I think is great. So just to recap, we created colors, we created typography, we created spacing, we created icons, we created shadows, we created radios. So let me rename these things. So something like this. Corners. So this is the radios. So let's name this one corner underscore radios. Alright. So we created corner radios, we created our layouts, our grid for desktop, for tablets, for tablets and the rest, right? So we can even go ahead and like add some of the specification, the gutter spacing, for example. As you can see, this stuff, if I bring in my text down, I'll know now that, okay, let me show you guys something. Each time you click here and you go to this particular place, you're going to see gutter. You are going to see the count don't really matter. What matter is the margin. So we say margin and gutter, right? So if you come here, let's say we want to even leave a text here now, we can just come here now, or you can just something like a rule here or something to let them know that okay, this is the margin that you use. So but you can just type it around here and just say margin 85 pt, just for that to be known to anybody that would want to use this. So let me say body, of course, let's just use body, semi-bold. All right, that's cool. And this color, let's use this color, right? And this color. All right, cool. So 85 points, 185 points, gutter. What's the point for the gutter again? 20 point. So yep. So you could just drop it at the middle of everything for that particular paparazzi there. Let me centralize it and even centralize the text as well and do that. So you could just drop it at the middle of everything there for the paparazzi of the whole stuff. And I'll drop this one here too. I'll say margin. The margin here is 50 and the gutter is still 20. Of course, the gutter everywhere is always 20, right? I didn't change it anywhere, right? But if you decide to change it, it's fine. I'll bring it here too. I'll do the same thing too as well, right? Then I would say the margin is 20 and the gutter is there about, so it does do the same thing too. So we have something like this, which is like, it's really pretty, and we have at least some sense of our atoms ongoing, and I think they are really great to work on some of this stuff, right? So thank you guys for watching this particular video on design system. And of course, there are several stuff that you could create in your design system. You can go ahead and create your molecule. For example, apart from atom here, if I rename this particular page, I can have the next thing I want to create now is my molecules. I could still have my form elements. I have form elements to create. I have buttons to create. I have other things to create. I have organisms to also create as well to make of this design system. But of course, this as a whole, I've actually gotten you started in terms of creating some atoms inside of your design system. And I hope you guys enjoyed this particular video. Don't forget to share this particular video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, drop a comment. Don't leave this video without dropping a comment. Just drop a comment saying design system, so that the YouTube algorithm will pick it up and share it with other people as well. People that are looking to learn design system will also see this video and learn from it. And of course, if you also want to contribute with the open source design and as well as the development, let me know in the comment section. I will give you a link that you can actually join a closed WhatsApp group. Thank you guys for watching this particular video. See you in the next video where I'll be talking about buttons. Peace out.